Welcome to New Hope Underground. Thank you for tuning into one of the most unique church podcasts in North America, or maybe the world. Today's episode is entitled, Hell is in Michigan, and the Ambassador for Generation Z. And now here are your hosts, Darren and Drew Hansen.
You speak American.
When you study French, though, you can be a French snob.
But that just makes you sound even snobbier than a normal snob.
So
I'm a French snob that studies French.
You're a French snob that studies French?
Yeah. Well, because you can be a hobby, whatever, language learner.
Well, see, I would think anybody who speaks French is a snob.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what you're saying.
I'm a French speaking, French learning snob.
So any American who's learning French is automatically a snob.
I think in most people's eyes, yeah. Oh, we started recording, didn't we?
Oh, yeah. We recorded a long time ago. We started recording a long time ago. But shoot. So, but you're not a snob.
I don't know. I don't think
because you're majoring in French, then you automatically assume that maybe there's some sort of snobbery in you.
See, here's what I think. I think I love to study it because that's just what I love. I find it fascinating.
Right.
And it's really cool to experience other cultures and stuff.
Right.
So it's that innocent. But you said some French words and that just wasn't factually correct. And your pronunciation.
I was trying to say some French words.
And every part of my being just cringed. And I was like, no. And then that's when I realized, oh, maybe I am.
Let me give you some background on this. Welcome to New Hope Underground. My name is Darren.
Hey, I'm Drew.
Hey, and we're here with episode, I don't know what this is,
3,000.
4. I don't know. We're on season 3.
4,000.
I know. We're just booking right along, having a good time. But let me explain this. What happened was we had a preview episode, and then we had another preview episode. We had preview 2.
You can't handle.
And during preview 2, we talked about this town in Quebec that wanted to change its name. It's called Asbestos, Quebec. And
Asbestos.
We shouldn't have a name that's named after something that gives you cancer.
I kind of like it. It's dark, though.
They didn't like it. And so they decided they were going to change the name, but people were hot about it because the names they had they thought weren't good enough. The names they had were Phoenix, not with an O, but just the French.
Right.
And then Trois Lacs.
Yeah, that's good. Trois Lacs,
which is 3 lakes. And then you had Apollon, which is
Apollon.
like some sort of turtle.
Some sort of weird turtle,
and then you had Jeffrey. Which I always thought, why did that didn't really fit, but it was because there's a mine there.
Vous avez les options, c'est Apollon, c'est Trois Lacs ou Jeffrey.
Yeah, it just doesn't flow, Jeffrey, Quebec. But then we asked people out there, Underground Nation, we asked you guys, hey, is there any better name that we can give this little town for Quebec? And
did we get any?
Yeah, we got one.
All right.
Clint Knierim, who's a faithful listener of the Underground, actually made a comment, and he said, I think we should name it Alex.
Alex, Quebec.
Exactly. And I
Genius.
said, that's a Jeopardy reference. That's awesome.
No, that's brilliant. Is he Canadian?
Yes, he is.
Oh, that works out.
He is. Alex Trebek is Canadian. A Jeopardy guy.
What an innocent country.
And so we should totally name it. Well, I don't understand why they didn't go for that. If you're going to change your name, Alex Quebec would be incredible.
You got Saskatchewan. Why not? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You already got Saskatchewan.
Well, I mean, have you seen some Canadian town names?
Asbestos.
Moose Jaw.
Moose Jaw. That's dope.
Surely you can do Alex. I think Alex. Clint, that was incredible. You got my vote. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, Clint. I mean, you nailed it.
So we're always talking stories on here. Always the real news, and so
nothing but the facts.
And that was kind of revisiting an old story, but I got a new story for you, Drew. And this is an interesting one. Let me say that this story comes from a guy who is all about Halloween. He's really into Halloween.
Okay.
I mean, to the point of where it's almost evil.
Almost almost evil.
I'm just
Where did? Okay.
teasing.
No, I get you.
But he actually
Harry Potter
is a person who's offering a Airbnb place. It's like a little shack, if you will, that he's got, and it's in Hell, Michigan.
Oh.
And he offers the guest a chance to be mayor of Hell for a day. Now,
Is that a real town?
Yeah, Hell, Michigan is a real town.
What is up with these towns? You thought asbestos was bad.
It's totally, and it's cold up there. So when they say, the day hell freezes over, well, it does every year.
Yeah, I was going to say it happens like pretty commonly in January and February.
This guy actually has a really nice little place you can stay. It looks like a little...
like Pinterest house?
Red. Looks like a red little old schoolhouse or something, wood and red. And it's basically where you get to stay as mayor of but he actually means actual hell, not just Hell, Michigan.
Okay.
So a resident of Hell, Michigan is offering this chance to be mayor of Hell for a day by renting out specifically outfitted something fell. A specifically outfitted lair for the mayor on Airbnb. And basically, it'll be available for 3 one-night stays that come with the unofficial title for 24 hours.
That come with the unofficial title. That means nothing.
So, to your guests, soon-to-be mayors, you're going to find out there's no place more welcoming than hell on earth. We can't wait to show you. And the mayor's lair includes a queen-size bed, Gothic-style sitting area,
naturally,
fire pit, outdoor movie screen.
It's one big fire pit.
And a supply of locally grown pumpkins to carve.
Nice.
You can carve all your pumpkins you want.
It's a nice little retreat center.
And the stay only costs $31.
I think this should...
In some sort of like celebration of October 31st.
Okay, that's genius. I think it's a good little staff retreat center.
Yeah, let's take the church staff to Hell, Michigan, and stay, and we can all become mayors of Hell, which is what I've always wanted to do.
Mayors of Hell.
Just, I don't know. What does this bother you at all?
Does it bother me?
Yeah, I mean, this guy kind of pitching in a consumeristic way.
Yeah, I think he's just taking advantage of something that fell in his lap,
Yeah, so he builds a little red cabin and says, here, you can be mayor of Hell.
He's like, what would Satan's Pinterest page look like? And that's
exactly right.
That's how he constructed.
Let me show you the picture. It kind of does look like Satan's Pinterest page.
Oh my goodness, it's adorable. Hell is so cute.
It is. That's what's really interesting about it. So, I mean, they don't want people to necessarily not to rent it out, but...
That's true. That's not how I pictured Hell at all.
I didn't picture it like that either. It's like a green grass with a bunch of carved pumpkins. And
did you ever have
They try to make it foggy to make it look scary, but it doesn't really look too scary to me.
Yeah. As a kid,
nice little cute cabin with a wreath.
Yeah.
It actually looks like a little red church.
As a kid growing up in like Sunday school, you'd get the random question of or the discussion about what hell will look like,
Oh, yeah.
Which is not a fun topic as a little kid, but that's a side comment.
Well, doesn't the Bible say it's just all darkness, so you couldn't see anything anyway?
Well, that's not how they make you feel. They made me feel like I was... Anyways, that's not the point. The point is that it didn't look anything like that based on those discussions.
What Sunday school class did you have where they talked about hell as a little kid?
I don't know. You go to random VBSs. You go to different Sunday schools.
Gosh, I shouldn't have taken you to that. Not sure exactly what was that about.
But I mean, it happens. Maybe it wasn't even the teacher. It could have just been between the students. I remember several conversations I had just between kids because it's a place, you talk about it.
Kids are just like, hey, what are you doing today? I don't know. Let's talk about hell. It's
known as like this. It's terrifying for kids, man. So, but yeah, that being said, my point in all of that is not how we imagined hell as little kids.
Have you ever been to Hell, Michigan?
No, it looks delightful.
Road trip time. No, I just don't. I don't know what I think about, because Halloween is one of those things when I was growing up. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things that you weren't sure whether you should trick or treat or not as a Christian because you were like,
oh yeah,
back and forth.
I don't feel like that's a problem anymore.
Celebrating all the evil spirits and the devil and this kind of stuff. And then my mom always took the stance that it was just for fun, just dress up and go out.
Interesting.
So, do you remember? And we did the same thing with you guys. We just, go trick or treat.
Yeah, some years we went, some years we didn't.
Yeah, well, depending on kind of where we lived and what was going on. Some places were dangerous.
See, what's funny is I remember it must have hit me right at the perfect age because it left such an impression on me. But we celebrated Halloween one night by turning off all the lights, going down into the basement after Mom had made a bunch of sugar cookies, and then we watched Mr. Bean.
There you go.
Do you remember that?
I think so.
Yeah.
And that was a great Halloween.
Yeah. I mean, for some reason in my mind, I thought that's how people celebrated Halloween, though.
Well, that's the way Hanson
It took me a couple of years to figure out. Most people don't watch movies.
Watch Mr. Bean.
British movies in their basement.
Yeah, I know. It just really wasn't. Not really what everybody does. But do you remember like a favorite costume you ever had?
One time I did the classic sheet ghost.
Yes.
Yeah, but I quickly got...
I remember that. We had pictures taken of it and everything.
Obviously, it was a last-minute idea, but I thought, oh, man, this would be cool. It's going to be a classic ghost.
You wanted to do that.
Yeah.
That was your thing.
Yeah. And I quickly realized it was, like, too difficult to see and it was really hot. So I like...
You mean just with a sheet over you?
Yeah, I stretched the neck and I just pulled it over my head. So I was just wearing a sheet. I don't know what costume that was, but
it kind of turned your ghost into a toga.
Yeah, but it was like also at the same time it's kind of like a poncho.
Yeah.
It's like toga poncho guy. That was my costume.
My favorite one was when I was a kid. When I was it was like not a sumo guy. It was like a really fat karate guy. Mm-hmm. Like had this big karate suit.
All right.
And
wait, not sumo, but a fat karate guy.
Right. It wasn't a sumo. It was like a karate guy.
I didn't know.
Not a sumo.
Are a lot of karate people like overweight?
No. No, it was kind of funny. And I just had these pillows and made it and put a karate outfit on it basically. Okay. And then it had a pantyhose on my head. And there were socks in the pantyhose,
right,
to tie it to make it look like I had this long like ponytail looking thing on my head, and I could swirl it around with move my head, my neck around, and the sock and the pantyhose would go around really fast. I could hit people with it and stuff.
Like the classic, karate guy who struggles with obesity with a ponytail.
We didn't have much money, and we did what we had to do,
It's just as...
My mom helped me make it,
That's better than my toga poncho guy.
Yeah, see? So, anyway, it's better than those store-bought things where you just buy the plastic mask.
Yeah, I mean, those can be fun. Some kids love them, but...
Oh, yeah.
But if you have a chance to be creative, you might as well.
Yeah, if the problem is a lot of times the kids don't want to do that. They want the store-bought stuff.
Yeah, I want to be Iron Man or whatever the cool thing is now.
But I look back and I think, no, the more fun ones were the random ones. I remember we got your brother one time dressed up when he was in high school.
High school?
Yeah, we did a small group party and we all dressed up and we actually went bowling in our costumes.
Oh, nice.
And he was dressed up as a Russian bodybuilder who was a boxer. Yeah, one of those like Russian hats on.
Wait. Russian bodybuilder.
Who was also a boxer.
Okay. Well, how does he look Russian?
He had one of those Russian hats on. He had like a gray sweatsuit on. He had all these muscles. And he had boxing gloves.
Vladimir.
We're not sure exactly what that was about.
Vladimir Tyson from Moscow.
Not sure what that was about, but it was funny.
That's awesome.
But anyway. Yeah, I mean... And I'm not so sure what it's going to look like in 2020 with Halloween and everything, but we'll find out.
No, I would imagine that the city's not going to do anything.
Nothing that official.
Nothing. I can't imagine they would like sanction something, but I'm sure parents are still going to be cool with their kids.
Hey, I'm going to have my candy and I'm going to be ready.
I mean, why does the city need to say, hey, we're going to do trick-or-treating at 6? Just let your kids go trick-or-treating if you want. If not, stay home.
Things have really changed. When I was a kid, they never had any like organized anything. You just
Yeah, it was
go out, you know?
at dusk
And there's kids everywhere.
after dinner.
There were kids. One time I didn't have a costume and I wanted to go and it was late. So I had a sack I just put on my head.
Yeah, that's essentially what I did with my sheet.
I used the same sack to collect the candy.
You just had to take off your costume every time.
I had to eat the candy in between houses.
That's genius.
Anyway, hey, have a great time, safe time. You know, and we're not even real close to end of October yet. We're just now getting started.
It'll sneak,
It
it'll
definitely
sneak
is
up
fall.
on you. The pumpkin spice is in full force.
It is. You know what? I said on the last podcast, I said anyone who DMs us or at New Hope Underground on Instagram or at New Hope Underground on Facebook, just message us and and just say you want a pumpkin spice latte and we'll get you one.
Any takers?
If you're the first one. No one messaged us. No one. And I know people listen, so
no, I think that has more to.
it's a free pumpkin spice latte.
Well, I think that has a lot to say about what people think about the PSLs.
Is that what it is?
They're
People are
gross.
sick of them.
Get them out of here.
Well, if you want one, it's still an offer. So the first person that just messages us and says, "Hey, I want that PSL."
Hit me up with that PSL. HMU with that PSL. I think that's
right.
what kids say.
And NHU will respond with the PSL. But we just need some.
NHU, yeah.
Nobody wants the free PSL. That's all right. But yeah, I mean, we'll get it to you. Just all you got to do is give us a yell. So we've got a great show lined up. We've
already had a great show
with another person. We just had Ty Griffith on. So I'll reveal that a little bit later. He was on our last week's episode, but we got a new one this week.
Heck yeah.
So stay tuned. Hey, welcome to New Hope Underground interview time. That's right. This is called Spotlight, when we get a chance to talk to somebody in our church. We've had spotlight opportunities in the last couple of seasons with plenty of people on our staff, so you can get to know them. And this year, we're going to focus on just people in the church or some of our small group leaders, some people who are just working in different ministries. And today, I've got Andrew Decker. What's up, Andrew?
Hey, how you doing?
Good, man. Isn't this kind of weird, like recording for a podcast when we've already been talking for like an hour?
Right. I feel like I've already told you all the good stuff.
It's already over. The interview's over, folks. I'm not now. So anyway, before we ever get started, it's over.
Yeah.
No, seriously, I was just wanting to know if you could just tell our listeners like who you are, a little bit of background, your family, what you do, that kind of thing.
Okay. My name's Andrew Decker. My wife, Brooke Decker, and I, we started attending New Hope probably about 2 years ago now, almost.
Okay.
So,
kind of newbies, but 2 years.
Yeah,
You've been here a while.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely. It still feels new, which is good. It's a good thing.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, we really enjoy it. We've got 2 kids, a boy and a girl, Liam and Cameron. They are 5 and 3 years old, so they kind of
Awesome ages.
Yeah, consume most of our life right now, but it's a lot of fun. And we love New Hope for that reason. With the kids being the kids ministry here is really awesome. So that was something that really drew us here as well. So as far as that goes, Brooke and I, we moved to Effingham about 4 years ago now. We've lived here. We came from Chicago. Brooke's actually an Effingham native though, so she was born and raised here.
Coming home.
Yeah. Myself, I grew up about 2.5 hours north of here around Streeter, Illinois. So Illinois is still home, but just not this far south, I guess.
I got you.
My job brought us down here actually. So
Chicago, Effingham.
Yeah,
6 on one hand, half a dozen on the other.
Not a very big difference. I love it though. Growing up in a farming community, slower pace of life. This is really nice to be living in this area, raising 2 kids. So.
And you grew up in a little town called Flanagan.
I went to high school in Flanagan.
Flanagan.
I grew up in a town called Manville, which
Manville.
I don't even know if there was 30 people.
Dude, if you're gonna be from somewhere, Manville's the place. Come on, you grew up in Manville.
You can say that. You just couldn't tell you haven't seen it. Once you see it, you wouldn't say that though. So
how many people live in Manville?
I don't think it's even big enough to have a population sign.
So it just says a sign says, I am Manville. I am the Manville.
Basically, it's out in the middle of a field somewhere. So I grew up in a really, really small town on a farm.
Well,
So
how'd you guys like cope in Chicago then? I mean, she's from Effingham, you're from Manville.
yeah,
Come on.
well, so we both we met down at Southern Illinois Carbondale.
Okay.
We went to school there. I studied turf management, where I currently manage Effingham Country Club. So golf course is kind of my background.
Wait, you studied turf management. I didn't know there was such a
Well,
degree.
you could kind of call it plant and soil science, I guess.
Okay.
Does that sound better?
Yeah, sure. That sounds really good. Of course,
Yeah.
that sounds like you could do almost anything in the farming area and stuff.
Well,
and you grew up in a farm,
Right.
so
I had the agronomy in my blood, kind of.
there's some connection there.
Right.
Yeah.
My dad was always really good about not kind of, forcing us to say, nope, you're staying at the farm. So he did a great job of saying, nah, go out and kind of, spread your wings. So
Right. So you said, forget the crops. I'll go play golf.
yeah, well, and he does. He's getting better at it too.
Is he?
So
Okay,
it's
okay.
really nice actually. Now that doing what I do, it's kind of sparked a new interest in him. So
Well, that's cool.
But after actually college, I moved to just outside of New York City. So I lived out there and worked at a country club out there.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
What a switch.
It was kind of, I still remember the day that my mom and I packed up the car and headed that way. I still didn't feel like this was real. So a big change from Carbondale to just outside of New York City.
Wow, I bet.
And then Brooke had a year left of school. She finished that up, and then she actually moved out to the East Coast as well. And got a job. So we spent 2 years out there, and we met a lot of great people and enjoyed our time. But we kind of both knew it was, we kind of had to start slowly moving our way back. So from New York, we went to Detroit, and we lived in Detroit for a couple of years, which Detroit has. Don't listen to anybody what they say about Detroit. Detroit is one of the best cities.
Is it really?
I
Yeah,
thoroughly
you
enjoy
don't
it.
really hear much positive, especially since the big, crashes and problems
Right.
with the automotive industry and so forth.
Yeah. So we were there from 2010 to 2012. So I mean, we were kind of right after the financial crash and all that, but I loved every bit of Detroit. The whole state of Michigan really was so nice. So we really enjoyed our time there as well. And then we just kind of slowly made our way back. Then we went from Detroit to Chicago, got a job at another country club. So
Those are some big cities, man.
yeah.
And now you're in Effingham.
Yeah, and I believe me, I really, really enjoy, and you kind of take for granted, you grow up in those small towns and you hear people, oh, everyone's always in my business or this and that, but you really don't appreciate just how good that is, especially when you're raising a family.
Right. When you have your own kids, it's like you kind of want them to have a little bit of that same experience at that point.
Yep. When you can walk in and anywhere you go and people know who you are, know who your kids are, it's a really good feeling. So
That's fantastic. Now, how long have you been working with the country club here?
So 4 years.
4 years.
Yep,
Okay.
since 2016 I've been here. So it's
Fantastic.
it's been a lot of fun out there.
I still can't get over turf management.
Yeah.
So do you? I'm trying to figure out like what kind of classes would you take for that? Like what are they called? I'm just curious.
Oh boy. I mean, they're you got to get
Like
your
fertilizer 101.
Well, it's a little bit more in depth than that, I guess. But if it was that easy, everybody could do it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's a lot of like soil management classes, studying the makeup of soil. We got a little bit more into the specifics as far as the golf course side of things, where you're taking like class on irrigation, pipe sizing and, the hydraulics and all that, the right way to construct a green.
What about all the machines you got to use, like special lawnmowers and stuff?
You would think that they would throw that in there and kind of give you a little bit, and there is nothing on that. That's one of those that you just got to jump on and go. And
You got to learn yourself.
Yeah, if you can't figure it out, you better be good at hiring somebody that can. So luckily with the farming background, operating equipment kind of has been something that has come pretty natural to me, but still it's a big difference when you're in a farm tractor versus in a really small little piece of specialty equipment that goes on a golf course.
It's so interesting. I just never really stopped to think about your job and what would go into that, what kind of degree, what you'd have to shoot for to do that.
Yeah.
I just never really thought about it. But that makes sense.
You talk to so many people and nobody really understands the amount of work and effort that
They
goes
just think
into
country club, posh job, you know.
Exactly.
That's what they think.
Yeah,
They don't realize all the stuff that goes into it at all.
You mow the grass maybe once a week and you play golf the rest of the time. That's what I get a lot.
Well, that's what I do.
Yeah.
No, and actually, I'm terrible at golf. You don't want me out there, but golf is one of those things I think people. I went out to play to relax, but that's the last thing I do when I play golf is relax because I don't know. I played basketball, a little faster stuff. So I'm too impatient for golf. I think that's my problem. I want to play well now, even though I've never played.
I think everybody just puts too much of an expectation on themselves. You watch it on TV, and even those guys struggle. So if you really want to just go out there,
but it looks so easy. You know what I mean? I'm using air quotes. It looks so easy.
It does look easy.
Do my Chris Farley imitation.
And on my side of it, with managing the golf course, I mean, my job is to try to make it as hard as I can.
Yeah.
So, or at least that's what every member assumes I'm doing.
Now, what kind of reputation does your course have as far as like difficulty? You have any idea?
That's a good question. As far as this area goes, I hear people talk about they believe it's a difficult course, but I guess from my experiences, it doesn't really feel like a very difficult golf course.
Well, can I give you a few ideas that might help with the difficulty? Yeah. How about like sharks in the water traps?
That would help.
Tiger pits.
Yeah.
Things that you might accidentally fall into on the way or your golf cart. You got to be careful.
Yeah.
That might add to the difficulty. I don't know. I'm just throwing that up there.
I mean, you go down
anxiety would lead into that, and that would help. You can't shoot very well when you're anxious.
Right. You go down to, the Carolinas or Florida, and, you see the alligators that are just roaming around on the golf courses.
Oh, man, that's so true. I was down in Florida with my brother-in-law, and we were playing around, and there was a ball laying right next to a baby alligator.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I'm not getting that because there's the water right next to him is like really muddy and murky.
Right.
And like you don't know where mom's at.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm just like, you can have that. You can have all the balls. You want some more?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I think as far as Effingham goes, we've got some snakes out there, but I think even for the most part, the snakes really don't bother you, but might maybe just scare you.
Now, see, that would add to the difficulty too if you purposely put snakes in certain locations.
That's not going to be my job. I'm certainly not going to mess around with snakes if I don't have
That's
to.
not your degree.
No.
It's turf management.
That's right. Yeah. I don't deal with animals.
Get somebody with a herpetology degree for that. Hey, that's fantastic. So, how long have you been a Jesus follower?
Well, I'd like to say that I've been a Jesus follower my whole life. My parents certainly made it a priority growing up to get us to church and Sunday school. And we were very much a big part of it was actually a Methodist church for a lot of years. And that was kind of the center of growing up. And I will say, though, that once, college rolls around and stuff and you kind of, Sunday waking up early, that doesn't really sound like the best thing anymore. So I definitely went through some years where I was not as good as I should have been. So, but as far as getting myself back to church, I definitely would attribute a lot of that to my wife. She's been really good. She's been the best thing for me as far as that goes, as far as always pushing me and, reminding me that, hey, we need to find something and do something. Because for a lot of years, actually, with our travels in New York and Michigan, we actually attended a Catholic church. My wife grew up Catholic.
Okay.
So we attended a Catholic church. I was not Catholic. I never converted to Catholicism at all. But, it just kind of, that traditional service, it just kind of made sense to us. So,
and supporting her as well.
Exactly. Yeah. And then we got to actually moving back here. We attended a Catholic church for about just shy of 2 years even when we moved back. And I know she sensed it before I did, that she just was looking for something a little bit more. She tried New Hope out a couple times with some friends as she met from different people in the community from here. And I was very reluctant in the beginning. I know there was definitely some Sundays where she went to New Hope and I would go to the Catholic church because I just wasn't really quite ready for it. And then she just kept, hey, you really got to check this out. Like, I think you're going to like it.
You weren't ready to be uncomfortable.
I guess not.
There's a little bit of a comfort level.
Those traditional values and stuff. It just wasn't. It didn't make any sense to go to a church like this. I needed just to go down, sit down, kneel, stand up, go home.
Right. It's a lot easier.
Exactly. It would absolutely. But that spark that was inside her slowly it leapt to me, and really she definitely put that in me. And we've had a couple really influential people in our life actually that attended New Hope too. Maggie Myler was definitely one that from a early on time of coming to New Hope, we got to know her really well, and she just done such an amazing job of just always pushing us and questions, anything that comes comes with that. She's just been so good, and so we've got to be really close with her and her husband that have helped us along the way. So obviously, when you start to meet new people, it makes it a lot easier to come to a church with those people in it.
Well, that's great. God tends to put people like a Mark and a Maggie in your life.
Absolutely.
And puts them in the way.
I couldn't agree more there.
What now, obviously, going to church, there's a lot of people that can go to church and not know Jesus. There's a lot of people that know Jesus and don't go to church. So I'm just curious, like, what do you love about Jesus himself?
Boy, I mean, just...
It's a loaded question. There's probably lots of answers, but I'm just
right.
curious if you can give me like a top answer, top two answers.
I think one of probably the biggest things that, I continue to always think about, because one thing I always struggled with, I guess, and I still struggle with, is just never feeling like you're doing a good enough job or you're good enough for the grace of Jesus. And I think to me, the grace that he offers us, every one of us, is probably the most just mind-blowing thing. I think on a daily basis, I constantly running through my head of I'm falling short. I'm not good enough for what he's offering. So when you come to church here and you listen to the services and stuff, and just to know in your heart that grace is being offered to us is pretty powerful.
That's awesome. It's fantastic. I couldn't agree with you more. Now, you guys also have just started this year leading a small group.
Yeah.
And right then COVID hit.
Yeah. We didn't pick a great time for that.
Well, no one knows, but you guys are just trying to reach out to some friends and have them over to your house or just have some time with them. So
yeah, we did. We kind of, I guess you could say, attended a small group that really wasn't, I guess, set up through the church here for a while. And it was really good. We enjoyed it a lot. But then as it kind of ended, I think Brooke and I were both kind of like, well, we really would like to keep this going. We really enjoyed that time we had. It really didn't have, I guess our focus was more, are you familiar with the Truth Project?
Yes.
So it was actually, Maggie was kind of the leader of it. And we kind of went through the 12 weeks of that. Okay. Which was awesome. Mm-hmm. I would recommend that to anybody that, whether you're a new believer or a longtime believer, that is so powerful.
Awesome.
But once that kind of started, we finished up with that. We were actually looking for more of, let's try to find some couples that are kind of in that same stage of life that we're in right now. Young kids trying to manage a career and just all the things that go into that, so we could kind of share those stories or help each other out. Sure. So that's kind of how that got started. We've got a pretty good group together. It's just as far as managing everybody's schedule. And then with COVID, right?
Get everybody to feel good about meeting.
Right.
Again,
it hasn't made it the easiest thing in the world to get together, but we definitely have. We've tried our best, and we did the Zoom thing in the beginning, which was nice. So we're getting there. I think we're slowly getting to where we want to be.
Well, that's awesome, and I think that's just it. It's a journey that we're on. It's not, it's a marathon. It's not a short sprint when it comes to our life with Christ and us with other people. So I think that's fantastic. The fact you guys are just willing, put yourself out there, the fact that you're willing to, just love on people, that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah. Growing up, we had a really active youth group in the church I was at. So, I just still remember those nights that you just look forward to. It was one of the things you look forward through the whole week of, we're meeting for youth group this week. Like we're going to, be able to see all the people, your friends, we're going to just come together and have that, that common faith of just, praising Jesus. So
it's so awesome to kind of, when listening to your story, it's awesome to know how faithful God really is, because he planted stuff in you when you were younger. And even though you tend to kind of go your own way, he brought you back. Right. He was faithful. He never left you.
Right.
You know,
Oh,
that's a powerful thing.
Yeah, you could always sense that he was always there. You know, and obviously putting someone in my life like my wife I think that was planned all along. So
there you go. You're gonna find someone of influence, God says, and you're gonna marry her.
Yeah. Well, he did a great job with mine. So.
That's fantastic. Now, before we go, I need to give you a stern warning. All right, you're getting older, Andrew, so you'll be pushing kids in swings too much.
I guess I shouldn't have told Darren about my my incident earlier this summer with blowing my hamstring out. So
doesn't take much sometimes, man.
No.
Trust me, when you get over 50, you can blow your hamstring just by thinking about it.
Well, I'm nowhere close to 50, but I guess once you get over 30, I guess things start going south. So maybe some more stretching, I guess, would help out.
You're in great shape. You got the golf course, keep you in shape a little bit, maybe, huh?
Oh. Maybe. I guess I should probably do more walking, but there's a fair amount of manual labor that goes into that.
Hey, man, thanks so much for letting me interview you.
Yeah, absolutely. I really appreciate it.
We're going to do a thing called 2-minute drill here in a second, and I'm just going to fire some quick stuff at you, questions, and let you answer them so people can get to know you a little bit.
Okay.
It's kind of so a lot of people don't understand this. They think it's just me being goofy, but the truth is there's deep psychology that goes into this.
Okay.
So if you listen to Andrew's answers on these things, it's amazing what you'll actually learn about it.
Now you're going to make me think about it.
And now it is time for the 2-minute drill.
You have an apartment with a skyline view. What skyline do you want to see? Paris, London, New York, or Effingham?
Oh man, I'm going to say New York.
Okay, cool. What barnyard animal sound can you do the best? Come on now, don't be humble.
I guess I could tell you which one I can do the best, but I'm not going to actually have to do it, right?
No, you don't have to. Not till later.
We'll say a cow.
Awesome. Tacos, burritos, or chalupas?
Tacos.
Favorite golf club to go to? Your go-to golf club. Which one is it?
Go-to golf club. I would say Oakland Hills in Michigan, the place I worked at in Michigan.
You love that place.
I really do, yeah.
Fantastic. How about this? Kayaking in Kenya, boogie boarding in Bora Bora, or skiing in Saskatchewan?
Skiing.
There you
Give me
go.
snow.
Favorite TV show ever?
Oh, man. I might have to think on this one.
We'll come back.
Okay.
What Brooke loves the most about you?
Oh, man.
Come on now. This is a great question.
Can I say how much I'm willing to chip in and help at home?
That's an awesome answer, even if it's not true. What do you love the most about Brooke? That's next question.
What do I love most about Brooke? I'm gonna say just the ability she has to just always be looking to find the best in somebody or help somebody. She's so good about that.
Awesome. VW Bug, El Camino, or a low riding pickup that has hydraulics and that La Cucaracha horn?
El Camino.
As a kid growing up, which dream is most likely yours? Professional sports personality, astronaut, cowboy, country club manager?
I would probably have to say sports.
There you go.
Yeah.
Sports personality. Now we're going to go back to this. Favorite TV show ever?
Breaking Bad was pretty good.
There you go.
I think I'd go with that one.
Breaking Bad. Hope that's not a theme for your life.
No, me either. So there are too many options. TV has just become, you could go down a rabbit hole with that.
Oh, you're not kidding. Hey, thanks, man. 2-minute drills. You did it.
Hey, I really appreciate you having me on. I enjoyed this.
So are you enjoying season 3 so far?
Yeah, I liked season 2 better. I just thought the characters were better developed.
The characters are better. Yeah, season 3 is just getting started though. We're just getting warmed up. Like you said, we're coming to our own. Season 3.
Watch out.
This is it.
When season 4 hits, in fact, let's make a preview for season 4 right now.
Hey, you ever heard of Jump the Shark?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I actually had a band in high school named Jump the Shark. Not sure if you knew that.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Didn't last very long.
Do you know where it comes from?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Explain.
Yeah, there's a great show I used to watch as a kid called Happy Days. Fonzarelli, he was, the Fonz was skiing, I think.
They were in Hawaii.
Yeah, he was skiing, right?
He went to Hawaii or California or somewhere. He
It was one of those
skiing.
mini old shows that went to Hawaii for one
Water
episode.
skiing in his shorts and his leather jacket.
Yeah, he had to look so cool, and he had to he jumped the shark.
He never skied before in his life,
Yeah,
but he decided he had to jump a shark.
yeah, he risked his life, and he looked so cool doing it.
And why? What does jump the shark mean?
Well, that's the episode where it was like, what the heck happened? That's whenever it all went downhill. So when you jump the shark, it means you.
Happy Days turned a corner there.
That's the turning point where you start to go downhill.
And so I don't know when jump the shark.
Did we jump the shark? Is that what you're saying?
I'm asking. Have we?
I don't know. Maybe
New Hope Underground. Have we jumped the shark already?
we jumped the shark like 4 seasons ago.
I don't know, but I think you and I need to wear leather jackets. That's all I gotta say.
Dude, I love leather jackets.
And shorts and water ski.
You know I'm going to wear a leather jacket next time.
If we did that, then we would no longer we revert back to our most famous selves.
Do you know that famous comedian, Dimitri Martin?
Yes.
He's got this bit. It's so funny. He's like, I went to this party and there was a guy with a leather jacket on, and I'm like, man, that's cool. And I saw another guy with a leather vest on, and I'm like, that is not cool. Then I realized it's all in the leather sleeves.
That's all it is. That's all you need is leather sleeves.
All you need to wear is some leather sleeves, man.
Well, hey, thanks for listening. We've had a great time. We've got a little bit of talk here, a little Jesus talk here towards the end, and so forth. So I don't know. I've been thinking about several things, I guess. Every time I try to think about what I'm going to say for Jesus talk, there's lots of things actually come to my mind. It's really more than what I need.
Yeah,
So,
you got the whole Bible to pick from.
a lot of Jesus stories.
66 books, right?
Exactly. And Old Testament's about Jesus, New Testament's about Jesus, so lots of Jesus talk. No doubt about it. But I was thinking, there's been a conversation here behind the scenes here at staff, been talking about what does it look like for someone who really is trying to follow Jesus and really growing? What does it mean to be changed by the Holy Spirit? And Jesus talked about this in John 16 when he said to the disciples, he said, I'm going to go to heaven, basically, and then I'm going to leave the Helper, the Holy Spirit. Mm-hmm. And he has come to convict the world in regard to sin, righteousness, and judgment. Mm-hmm. And he says, actually, in regard to sin, and now I'm forgetting the exact quote. I'm not going to get the exact quote right. But he gives 3 reasons. One, why in regard to sin, why in regard to righteousness, why in regard to judgment. And to sin because we are sinners. We know we desperately need Jesus. In regard to righteousness, he said because he is going to the Father, he's not going to be here anymore. So in other words, the righteousness of God is going to play out through us as people, as a representative of Christ on earth to others. In regard to judgment, because the devil rules the world right now, and he's already judged. And that's a little bit ambiguous. It's kind of hard to figure out what he means. But I think what he's saying is, play this out. The Holy Spirit is convicting the world in regard to those things. If you play in regard to sin, I'll tell you what. Let me go kind of start back through the 3. So what does it mean to be someone who's led by the Holy Spirit, who's growing? How do you know if you're growing as a Christian? Well, you take sin more seriously. I think there's conviction about sin in your life, and you don't want to. You don't want to sin. Doesn't mean that we don't, but it means it becomes a little bit more important to you. Start to recognize it more. The Holy Spirit is telling you, like, hey, don't. Hey, do, or whatever. And then you also have in regard to righteousness, in that Paul said in Romans that we either are a slave to sin or we're a slave to righteousness. It's not like anyone's ever truly free. So any of us who have been saved by Jesus, we're a slave to righteousness in the sense that God makes us righteous, the Spirit gives us a conviction to want to be righteous, not because we can do so many great things, but because of what Jesus has done and how it changes us. And then thirdly, in regards to judgment, and I think what that means, if you look down the road at what you're doing, you're going to see the outcomes. Like Solomon always talked about, it's like chasing after the wind, all these different things that you pursue in life. And so when you start to look down the road, you start to realize there's going to be judgment. for those who refuse to listen to the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit has come to convict us about judgment. In other words, there's a healthy guilt, if you will, when it comes to actually knowing Christ. And if we are walking closer to Christ, we're gonna kind of have that fear of God in us in a good way, not in a depressing, guilt-ridden way, but in a way that says that, hey, I'm always remembering in the back of my mind, as a Spirit-filled Christian, that God's in charge. He's already judged the devil. The thing is already over. What side do I want to be on? Keeping that in mind, play that out. How's my life going to be played out in that regard? So, I don't know. there's lots of ways to answer.
That's good.
There's lots of ways to answer this.
That's
so,
dense.
Drew,
I like that.
what do you say? I mean, what are some indicators, do you think, for someone who's growing?
I think that the obvious one, like you said, is someone who takes sin seriously. I think there's a huge difference there with someone who's, not of faith and someone who's in love with Jesus. They realize where they're, even though they might be a good person, they struggle with sin, and they're not okay with it.
Right.
A Christian who is okay with sin is deluded usually, and that usually comes back to bite them somehow. So that's an obvious one. It's a good question.
I think it's easy for us to get caught up into the outward things, going to church, reading our Bible, doing things.
It's the easy
saying
thing.
that's what it means to grow.
No, it's just not true.
That's just not true because there's got to be a heart change involved in that.
I think church and stuff gives you a lot of opportunities to grow, but you can easily just not take the opportunity.
Right.
You can still go and not take your opportunities. So
And
church can be important, but it's
also going to be very deceiving, because many people can, like Jesus said, there's going to be plenty of people who come to me on that last day and say, "Didn't we do these things in your name? Didn't we do that in your name?" And he said, "Away from me, I never knew you."
right.
Because you don't really, just because you do the right things doesn't necessarily make you right with God.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of worship leaders deal with. Actually, I don't know. It's kind of a tangent, but yeah. So it's something that's very visible within a congregation, within a church that's doing all of these things for the Lord. But it's possible this guy just got up and sang and danced around and then got off and then never thought about Jesus the rest of the week. And he did it in a way, it could be good intentions, I want to serve the body of Christ. And I'm saying this because I'm guilty of that, because it's so prevalent. So if it's happening with church musicians, I know it's happening. If it's happening with them, what's happening with other people in the church.
Years, there's been some pretty high-profile worship leaders who've just said, "I'm done," walked away. So I don't really believe anymore.
Pastors.
Yeah, and pastors.
It happens to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Those are just like high-profile people.
Yeah, I just mean high-profile.
Stages, yeah.
That doesn't count all the people who aren't so high-profile.
So if we actually counted people who weren't on stage, who were just in the church, it'd be a massive number. And that's, as a Christian, I'm okay with the fact that not everyone is on the same page yet.
Right.
There will be a day where we are.
Right.
But in order to grow myself, you have to take responsibility for it.
Well, it's not just about just worship in the way we think about worship. It's about humility in worship. It's not just about reading your Bible. It's about seeking to, because you want to know God. In other words, motive is so vitally important behind these things. And when it comes to really growing in your faith, when your motive is right, then you start to see growth, I think,
Right.
And that's a lot of that sometimes is learned. You need to be around people who have the right motives. And when you gain some of those kinds of friendships, some of that rubs off on you. You start to realize that some of your motives weren't so pure or so right.
I think maybe it's because I'm your son. But as I look back, that's something I've learned from you over the years, over and over, and so in every situation, you've never ever been upset about, something I did by itself. It always comes back to why, where's your heart at with that? Like, why did you do that, or why did you not do that? So ever since as a kid, as a Christian, as a man now, as a husband, as someone, like, you have to constantly ask your question, why? Not because you're gonna mess up, but
that's so true.
Why? You have to ask that. Otherwise, maybe you're okay with sin if you're not asking why.
Right. That's so true. I'm glad to hear you voice that, because I think that's been something I've intentionally thought through myself and with myself, not only just with you guys, raising you as kids, but I think that's so true. Like, we cannot get caught up in these individual sins to the point of where we let them define us.
And sometimes it's frustrating.
Yeah.
Because the easy fix is to cut it out. The easy fix is to stop doing or to start doing something. The easy fix is to not think about your heart. Sometimes
most definitely.
It's a lot harder to act on conviction, and a lot harder to take on conviction than it is to make other people happier.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to look right than it is to be right.
Yep.
No doubt about that. No, hey, I know you guys probably didn't plan on this. A little serious conversation here towards the end of.
Not sure if we did we?
Not sure we did. It's good though. We need to do more of it. So we'll be back for some more Jesus talk, and we've got some fantastic things coming up. It's season 3, so who knows? I mean, let's just pray we don't jump the shark.